happening with the auction numbers?
The auction numbers, look, again, you heard Tom, and Tom, as we said, he really is, he's one of the key players in the auction industry, and that's why he's recruited to do auctions in probably the most prestigious areas, and he's always going to get a result. He's probably not the best person to go off when it comes to an auction results that you're looking for because of his position. Clearly, the auction stats have been level for a long time. We had a 68.1% clearance rate across the country. That's not a massively high rate. Last year, it was 70.3 at this time. Now, Sydney was the best performer at 75.6, and Melbourne came in at 69.6, so still back into the 60s. Adelaide in the mid-50s, Brisbane in the mid-40s. They've been consistent for a very long time. So I'm only seeing this concern again in certain areas of Melbourne and certain areas of Sydney when it comes to the clearance rates.
Sure. And we've talked about more properties coming up for sale. And what are your figures saying?
It's been great, week after week after week now. We had a climb of 3.44% over this time last week, so it's been moving along very, very strongly. The New Zealand market had a 5% overall increase in stock. It's a bit of an odd change. It's been moving up and down. Maybe more listings are on the market right now, perhaps because many of them have expired and still haven't been sold. So it's something we need to watch very closely as well.
Yeah. Now, pretty much all the properties that are going to be sold before Christmas, would they be on the market by now, or have we still got another couple of weeks to let a few more in?
Oh, I think that if they're going to go to auction, they probably need to be on the market or started advertising by now.
Because the campaign's normally 4 to 6 weeks?
Normally 4 to 6 weeks, so they should have really been on there right now. But there are people who are just looking at their next year's options, forgetting Christmas now, looking at their maybe transfers or relocating or schools or health. They'll start looking at right now listing with the hope of maybe seeing the January sale market or a February market. So
and I've always said before, we bought on the 24th of December, we bought on the 3rd of January. So if you're in the market talking to the agents, an agent, if he knows someone's keen, he might bring a property from February and bring it into December.
Absolutely,
if he's got the right buyer.
Chris, when I was a young real estate practitioner with my own business,
quite a few years ago,
a few years back, I didn't have a family, and my parents lived interstate. On Christmas Day, I would go down to my office and just catch up on some paperwork, and I'd leave the door ajar. Somebody would come in, push the door all the time to talk to me about real estate. It's amazing.
Just want to say, commitment of these agents, they're worth every cent you pay them. Okay, rent price movements.
They're pretty steady right across the country. Again, you got Sydney sitting at 12.38% in its levels. It really hasn't changed. And you go down to Melbourne at 8.53 and Perth at 19.43, but the average is 13.45. So it's been sitting in the 12s and 13s from increases over a 24-month period. Not much has changed, up and down. I think it's going to stay steady for a while.
Now, we're getting some different messages from our property managers. How are you finding vacancy rates now?
Sydney's the best performer again. It's come back at 2.11% in this last week, and is followed by Melbourne at 3.74%. The probably worst performer for quite some time has been Perth. It breached over 7% last week. It's back down to 6.97% this week. So it's giving us an average of 4.27% across those three capital cities. So it's steady, and I'm glad Perth is coming back a little bit, because that could be quite dangerous.
Sounds good. Now, Pink October, have you got your numbers in for how much Century 21's raised?
No, we haven't got the final numbers in, but some of the officers have extended the campaign because it's been so successful. I know it's odd, you know, you get involved in something, and when we do, we get right involved in it, and everything was changed right to a signboards and brochures and everything. It was done from a central point of view, so everything out there had a touch of pink, Unite in Pink, our logos, our banners, everything. And the guys loved it. The franchisees, the principals, the officers, salespeople, all the admin staff absolutely loved getting involved, because everybody has got somebody that has some association with that debilitating disease.
So generally, I mean, obviously that sounds like a great mood. Like with charity, a lot of people say, oh, like, how good is Australians at giving away to charity? I mean, there's always people doing it tough and the rest of it. What did you generally find? I mean, obviously your agents got behind it. Yeah. What were the general public like?
Well, they were actually quite involved in it, and this is what made it so successful. When they saw us pursuing that line right across Australia and New Zealand, when they saw it, they got heavily involved, and that's what I was most impressed about. I would see so many posts on Facebook and so many notes from people who had nothing to do with the company, who were commenting on what a worthy cause it was and how can they get involved.
And I would have thought your brand's very kind of synonymous with community, and especially out in the countries and the rest of it, that kind of bringing things all together.
Without doubt. Well, we have a great family feel in the organisation to start with, and those agents in those suburbs generally have a strong community base themselves. This was just an extension of what a lot of community work is already done by the local agents in their offices. I've never seen a campaign that was taken up so quickly. We do a number of charity events, but this particular one, well, it was just approached with so much gusto by everybody involved.
I wore one of the jackets for 30 minutes, and it was certainly brightened out there.
I actually have a couple of people want your details. You know, they saw you in it.
Good stuff. Charles Tarbey from Century 21. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining us at home. We'll be back next week. Until then, I'm Chris Gray. Good night.
The information featured in this program